Yo siento realmente hay veces
I feel powerless,
impotente. Hay
partly
una
anger,
parte, yo digo,
partly
una
sadness.
rabia, ¿no? Hay veces más tristeza también porque seguramente
I
acá
know they
también ha
tortured
estado
my husband
torturado mi
here.
esposo.
His bones are
En
here,
este sitio
and I
estará
feel bad.
sus huesos y me siento mal.
27 years since her husband disappeared, and Adelina is still searching for him. High in the Peruvian Andes, it's hard to imagine the violence that 2 decades ago killed 69,000 people. The Ayacucho region was the heart of a battle between a Maoist guerrilla group, the Shining Path, and the army. 15,000 Peruvians have been reported missing. In this village alone, 27 men disappeared in one night. More than 20 years later, and the hurt is as sharp as ever for the survivors. In the town of Ayacucho, Adelina remembers the night she last saw her husband.
Era 12:30 de la noche.
At 2:30 at night, 25 masked men entered, the military.
A mi esposo de su cama
They got my husband out of bed. I didn't want him to get up. Where are you taking him? What's my husband done? You're a terrorist, they said, and other ugly words.
Palabras, pero bien feos nos ha tratado.
They also hit me.
A mí también me han golpeado.
I was dazed.
Bueno,
When
me
I
he
recovered,
quedado
my husband was gone.
desmayada. Hasta eso a mi esposo se lo habían llevado ya.
Aged 20, Adelina was pregnant. After she was beaten, she lost her baby. She struggled economically and emotionally to survive.
I lost interest in my body, in myself. I was just looking for him. For 10 years, I believed he was alive. Then I began to accept he was probably dead. My hope is to find his body and bury him.
While the years pass, people's need to know the fate of their loved ones remains as strong as ever.
Después de 25 años de espera, los familiares de personas desaparecidas
After 25 years of waiting, the families of the disappeared are still living with uncertainty and pain, without knowing what happened to their loved one. This causes lots of suffering. Although deep down they know they are probably dead, they still live with the hope that someday they will knock at their door.
Pero siempre viven con la esperanza de que algún día regresen a su casa, toquen la puerta, y esa esperanza les causa mucho sufrimiento.
There are thought to be more than 4,500 mass burial sites in Peru, but today fewer than 10% of the recovered bodies have been identified. It's a long and painstaking process. In this training session, the ICRC works with local forensic experts to improve their skills. They examine the remains, analysing signs of trauma and medical history, traces of clothing or objects found on or near the body. This profile is then matched with the information from the surviving families to try to establish a firm identity. Only then can a family be sure of what happened to their relative. Marina and her brother Raul have been waiting over 25 years for this. They've come to the Forensic Institute in Ayacucho to collect the remains of their mother and sister, who were killed by the Shining Path in 1984. A year later, their father disappeared. He was arrested and never seen alive again. The process of investigation is frustratingly long and complex. Raul and Marina are still fighting for a formal identification of their father's remains.
What we suffered as children, as young orphans, during this period of terrible violence, no one acknowledges.
The ICRC provides the small coffins. It adds a shred of dignity. Without this, the remains would be handed over in a cardboard box. Marina was 15 and Raul just 6 at the time of the attack.
We felt as if we'd lost an arm or a leg. We felt disabled. We didn't know what was happening, and we didn't know what to do. We were surrounded by a wall of silence, with no help from anyone.
Without the mortal remains and proof of death, families can't move on, remarry, claim inheritance, or simply conduct funeral rites.
I finally have my mother and my sister in my home. I welcome them with lots of love.
Tomorrow, Raul and Marina will take their family's remains back to the village where they grew up for a proper burial. Decades have passed, but finally their grieving can come to an end.